Hi friends, it's Kim with O Snap Hair Accessories, and today I'm going to show you how I make ponyos. This is one that I made with some strawberry shortcake and friends, and it's real simple. It's just got some solid coordinating colors to make it easier to match with outfits. The tapers are about 8 inches long, which is normally what I put on ponyos. I usually make them fairly long unless they're requested to be shorter, which is what we're going to be making today. Today I'm making some that are part of a custom order for a little girl's basketball team. So they needed them shortened up a bit to be easier to wear while they're playing during their games. Here's what you're gonna need. Your ribbon. And the amount of ribbon is completely up to you. It's how thick or fluffy you want your ponyo. I'm using 2 strips of 1.5 inch ribbon, a strip of 7/8, some 3/8 corker, and then you'll need about a 4-inch strip of 3/8. Now the tapers on this one are going to be roughly 5 inches long. So each of these are about 10.5 inches. I leave a little bit extra to make up for the gathering in the center, okay? You'll also need a pair of scissors, a lighter, yes, a needle and thread, your glue gun, and one of the small zip ties. This one, I don't know, 3 inches maybe. I buy my zip ties as a part of a set, so there's a lot of different sizes, and this is the smallest one that's in the canister. You can pick these up at Walmart or any hardware store, Home Depot, Lowe's, any place like that, they'll have them. And then a rubber band. Now, this is where mine are a little bit different than others. I know a lot of people don't like this little metal piece, okay? I love it, and I actually specifically buy my elastic bands with the metal, and I'm gonna show you why as we go through and make our ponyos. But that's it. So, if you're ready, let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is take our ribbon and we're gonna trim up the edges. Now, you can trim them at an angle, or you can fold them over and cut a slight, oops, that's not quite, like that. Or I have seen some that are just left straight. I don't really like that. What I do is I put them together and I at least put a little bit of a trim on them, okay? But since we were on this one, since we've already got the peaks, then we'll go ahead and put that on this other end as well. So that's simple as that. On your corkers, if you don't know how to make corkers on your own, you can buy them pre-made. Hair Hardware, I know, has some. I'm sure there are Etsy sellers that have them available. All I'm doing is trimming off the jagged edge, and on all of these we're going to heat seal the edges, and that's just so that they don't fray, just like we would on a bow. So let me finish up with these and then I'll come right back to you. Okay, one thing as you're heat sealing your ribbon, when I heat seal, I don't actually touch the flame to the ribbon because it'll singe too easy. I simply run it along the edges, and the heat itself will seal it, not the flame. So just keep that in mind. Just be real careful, especially if you're working with white or light colors, because it can singe it, and you don't want that, because then you have to trim it and start all over again. Okay, now that I've got all of our ribbon ready, we're going to lay it out, and just, you know, whatever you want with these, and you just kind of crisscross and decide where you want them. Now I'm using a little bit of corker just to add, you know, some texture and a little bit of fun to this. And you know, they don't have to be perfect. Just however you want them there. You want your center section overlapping. You know, you don't want to do anything crazy like put them over here, because we're going to sew the center section, and that'll be one way of keeping it all together. And you'll notice that I'm using the longer corkers because I want those long curls coming down, but then I also want some fun. So I'm putting a few shorter ones in here as well. Okay. So now that you have all that together and you know how you want it laid out, we're going to carefully press down in the center. And when you're working with corkers, this part can be kind of tricky. So just, keep a firm grip on it, hold it all together, and then we're just going to sew right up the center. And you can do this with a machine as well, especially if you're not using corker, because then everything will lay flat and it'll be real easy. But I'm just going to put a running stitch through this, starting down here at the end, or at the edge rather, making sure I get everything sewn together. And then I like to go back. And again, just make sure I get it at least once or twice through each piece of ribbon. You can cinch it a little bit at this point if you'd like to. Just kind of gently tug on it and it'll pull that together. And then I run the string around and then tie it off in the back. You may want to do that a couple of times, especially if you've got a really thick center going on, because the last thing you want is for anything to come out. But we're gonna double ensure that here in a moment, and I'll show you what I do differently on these. Okay, so once you have your ribbon all sewn together, you can see how that's gonna, lay out. And you can, tug on them a little bit if you need to. There's really not a lot of play though once you sew them together. So if you're, if you're nervous about how it's gonna look, just pick it up once you get it. Once you get it together, just hold it firmly, keep them together, and make sure that you like the way they look. These I think will be fine. Kind of funky looking. Now, like I said before, most of the videos that I've seen, they don't use the elastic bands with the metal piece, and the metal pieces are hard on the hair. However, what I do is I utilize that because I'm going to put a little bit of glue on that metal piece, just a tiny bit, and then I'm going to glue it right where I sewed everything together. Okay, so now my elastic band, and be sure it's standing up on there. You don't want it laying down because that'll affect how your bows or your ribbon lays in the hair. Okay, so standing up, and of course pull off any glue strings that you may have. Now what I'm going to do is take my zip tie, and I want the fastener side on the front, because we're going to cover that up with some more ribbon here in a moment. But I'm going to come around right on that metal piece, come around the front, fasten your zip tie, and pull it as tight as you can with this fastener piece being in the front, so it's not going to rub on the, next to the scalp or anything, and just pull. Okay, pull until you cannot pull anymore. Make sure it's good and tight. Clip it off as close to you can to the fastener. And there you go. Now, the reason I use the metal is because I glue it and then I put the zip tie on, and by having this metal piece, this zip tie isn't going to work its way through the ponytail holder. Okay, so in other words, it's not going to wear out as easy. Especially if we're talking about athletic girls that are using these a lot and are hard on them. This just helps keep it together longer. But now we need to cover this up. So we're going to take this little piece of 3/8 ribbon that we had earlier. We're just going to tie a little loose knot in it. Gently pull that. Okay, so you don't want to pull it super tight. You want just a nice little knot. We're going to put a dab of glue on the back of that. And that's mainly just to hold it in place. And it's going to go right over that little fastener on our zip tie. Hold that down, let it dry. Now we're going to come around the back. We're going to glue down one side of our ribbon straight over that zip tie. And then we're going to glue the other over that. Cover up any uglies that we may have. I've got a loose piece of string there. Snip that right off. And then just push down to the edges. Work that glue out to the very edge so that it all stays down. And there you go. These tapers, at the longest, the corkers are about 6 inches, but the rest of it's fairly short, fun, funky. And there you go. The O-Snap hair accessory version of Ponyos. Find more ideas at our Facebook page, O-Snap Hair Accessories, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.